Tiny11 23H2 is here, but is it really so tiny and 23H2? Today, I will find out. For those who sleep on a rock for a while, Tiny11 is the modified version of Windows 11 by NTDev. The previous version of Tiny11 22H2 was quite popular because it took less space than the original Windows 11. But let's see, can new Tiny11 23H2 version impress us today? So let's get it started. So fellas, let's get into it. Where to download Tiny11 23H2 version? Here we have a link, I will leave it in the video description. I want to mention one very important thing, it all depends on you. You have such a possibility to download this ISO file. If you don't trust this developer, that's okay, that's your decision. Besides, let's talk about Tiny11. You may see 23H2 version, but of course that's not true, that's not entirely true, because Windows 11 23H2 is still not available on the Microsoft official website. We have only 22H2 version, and that's why I want to provide an important info. This release is still based on Windows 11 22H2. Just like with Tiny10 23H2, the H2 means that it is released on the second half of 2023. However, since 23H2 will be a simple enablement package, you will be able to update this image to the official Windows 11 23H2 version release with no problem. That sounds great. In fact, you can even do it right now if you enroll in the Insider Release preview channel. So, understood, it's not completely 23H2, it's the same 22H2 version. Let's move forward. From this website, we can download Tiny11. As you can see, we can click here and it will automatically download in our browser, or you can use a torrent. It all depends on you. So, for example, I will click download and save. Click here. The file has 4.2 gigabytes of space. It's look quite similar to the original Windows 11 ISO. Obviously, if you want to boost the time, I recommend to use a torrent, but it all depends on you. So fellas, as you can see, I successfully downloaded Tiny11 on my laptop, and now I will try to run this operating system. But for this, I will use a virtual machine. If you wish, only if you wish, you can use a laptop or your main PC. So I will create a new virtual machine. As you can see, I'm using a VMware workstation. Create a new virtual machine. Click next. Now I need to choose Tiny11. Okay, I will navigate to downloads, and here it is, Tiny11 23H2. Click on open, click next. Here I will type Tiny11 new, and I will create such a folder for Tiny11. Navigate to local disk D, virtual machine, make new folder, Tiny11. Click OK, and then next. If that's necessary, I will create a password. Press enter, and the most interesting part, I will try to allocate only 16 gigabytes of space. Let's see, will it work stably? Click next, and I will do some customization. So first of all, I will allocate only 2 gigabytes of RAM. 2000 megabytes equal to 2 gigabytes of RAM. Let's move forward. I will click on the processors. To install Windows 11, your processor must meet the minimum system requirements to install Windows 11. Let's try to allocate only one core. So I will click on close and on finish. It will automatically run the virtual machine. Click on finish. So fellas, we are in the installation window. Let's click on next. As you can see, we have an unhappy message. This PC doesn't meet the minimum system requirements to install this version of Windows. And that's quite interesting because Tiny11 can be installed even on an unsupported laptop. The thing is, actually, I could try to bypass the system requirements. But look at this. I will close this window, click on yes, and I will shut down the virtual machine. Power off. One more time, I will navigate to Tiny11 and I will customize the requirements for the processor. Here I will allocate 2 cores, click OK, and again let's try to run Tiny11. Here we go. I will click on next. And voila, now we can install Tiny11 without any problems. But as you can see, you need to have at least 2 cores, or maybe anti-dev in the future will fix this problem. Actually, I don't know why this is happening, because even when I'm installing Windows 11, I don't face this problem, but when I'm installing Tiny11, for some reason, I can't use 1 core. I need to allocate at least 2 cores or 2 threads. It all depends on you. Now you need to check this option, agree with terms and conditions, click next. As I previously said, I allocated only 16 gigabytes of space. Now I will click on next. Friends, let me know in the comment, how do you think, will it work with 16 gigabytes of space or it's just waste of time? Finally, we saw Windows 11 logo. In this situation, you need to be patient and take your time until it will load the important services of Windows 11. In this window, you need to select your current location. For the example, I will select United States. Click on yes. In the keyboard layout, I will leave everything by default, US, then I will click on skip. I don't need a second keyboard layout. As always, Tiny11 doesn't require to create a Microsoft account. Instead, you can use a local account. So I don't see any kind of messages that I need to sign into Microsoft account. I will use a local account. Then I will uncheck all of these options and click accept. Friends, we are in Tiny11. Now I will install VMware Tolls to make full HD resolution in full screen. But before doing this, I will check how many space Tiny11 takes right now. Click on the right mouse button, properties. If you take a close look, Tiny11 23H2 version, as they call it, takes 10.4 gigabytes of space. After installing VMware Tool, we will proceed to the next step. And again, finally, we are in Tiny11. At the moment, we have full HD screen resolution. So if we click on the startup menu, you may see Microsoft Edge browser. In the previous version, 22H2, Microsoft Edge browser was deleted. So in my opinion, I think it's not a deal breaker. If you wish, you can delete Microsoft Edge browser. By the way, on my channel, I have a tutorial on how to delete Microsoft Edge browser. So let's move forward. We have only few applications, few files, settings, file explorer, and that's all. If we click on the search, we can see only few applications. And what do we have here? OneDrive. Obviously, they could delete OneDrive. In my opinion, it wasn't so important to leave OneDrive, but if you wish, you can uninstall OneDrive without any problems. Okay, let's move forward. As I previously said, I install VMware Tools, and let's check again how many space Tiny11 takes. I will click on the properties. It takes 11.1 gigabytes of space after installing VMware Tool. Keep that in mind that if you have a laptop or PC, you still need to install necessary drivers for your system. Now we can close this window. I want to remind you that we allocated only 16 gigabytes of space and 2 gigabytes of RAM. Obviously 2 cores. Now let's open the taskbar. As you can see, it used only 1 gigabyte of RAM, not something extraordinary. Let's talk about services. I will click on the processes. We have 32 background processes, and if we scroll down a little bit, here we have about 50 Windows processes. Also, you need to understand that at the moment I'm using a VMware software, so probably on your laptop or PC you will see more than 50. Now we can close this window, and first of all I want to notice that here we have Microsoft Store. That means we can enter the Microsoft Store and install applications without any problems. By the way, if we click on the settings, click on the privacy and security, open Windows Security, and as you can see, Microsoft Defender is available, so you can use it without any problems. For me, this is a clear decision why they decided to leave Microsoft Defender, because your security is the top priority, and that's fine. And of course, let's check, can we get the latest updates in Tiny11? So I will navigate to Windows Update, update available to install, click install all. As you can see, we can install the latest updates from Windows services without any problems, and moreover, if you wish, you can upgrade to Windows 11 23H2 version. By the way, I almost forgot to show you the version of the Windows. As you can see, we have Windows 11 Pro 22H2 version. Another interesting question: how to activate Tiny11? Simply, you need to activate Tiny11 as Windows 11. For this, you need to click on Product Key and Activation. Then in this window, you need to click on Change. I want to mention one very important thing. You need to enter license of Windows 10 Pro or Windows 11 Pro because this version based on the Pro version. So if you have Windows Home or Education, I think it will be not suitable. And let's get back to our updates. From what I see, we can get updates without any problems. So after installing these updates, I will restart the system and I will again launch the startup menu to see will application and ads appear in our window. And look at this, after installing the latest updates, Tiny11 23H2 version will take about 13.4 gigabytes of space. Again, I want to repeat, it's not something extraordinary. After all, they leave a lot of applications like Microsoft Store, Microsoft Defender, etc. Even though after installing the latest update, it used only 1 GB of RAM. You may see 29 background processes, and if we scroll down a little bit, that's the moment when magic appears, because for some reason we see only 42 Windows processes. In the past there were 50 processes. Honestly, I can't explain how it happens. My conclusions: Tiny11 23H2 is the same Windows 11 Pro, but without applications, without useless programs and services. If you want to use such a Windows, it all depends on you. It will be at your own risk if you want to download and install such an ISO file. But in the end, we don't have any useless programs. We have only the most important applications that we need to use. We have Microsoft Edge browser. Also, we don't have ads. I want to remind you that I run Tiny11 in virtual machine only with 16 GB of storage, 2 GB of RAM and 2 cores. So yep, it's quite lightweight. If this video was useful for you, please like it, and I recommend watching this video on how to run Tiny11 from a USB drive. Windows 11 Portable.